back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm doing a story time, and I'm telling you guys about the time I went to Vienna, Austria, which is, honestly, it was a really, really great trip. I'd go again. So I took the trip on March 23rd, 2019, and now it's 2021, so I know it's kind of late, but I'm still gonna tell this story. So I want to make sure I don't tell the story wrong in any way, so I wrote down some notes, so I might be, looking down every once in a while just to look at my notes. Yeah. So I took the trip on March 23rd, 2019, and it was through my school. We had band kids go and orchestra kids go, and in total there were about 40 students from band and orchestra combined. We went on lots of tours during this trip. We had a lot of free time during the field trip as well, so we would split off into the city, and it had to be at least groups of 4. So I was with a group of about 7 people. We were told we had to meet up at 2 o'clock, and they gave us like a specific point to meet up at, and they showed us on a map. So I don't remember exactly where we had to meet up, we just had to meet up. So we had about an hour, it was like 1 o'clock, of free time until we had to meet up. And usually they would give us free time during lunch. So every day for the trip, I was gone for about a week, we'd have an hour to just be in the city with other, and get lunch. So the group I was in, they decided to eat pizza for lunch, and I love pizza, one of my favorite foods, so I was definitely down for this. We're eating pizza in outdoor tables, and we look at the time and we realize we have about 10 minutes until we have to meet back up together as a whole group. So we quickly, pay, and then we start running down the street. Really quick, I'm gonna add on this little detail. I ran out of euros on this trip, and I didn't have a way to pay for my lunch because I thought a Visa would work, but that apparently doesn't work in Austria. So I used up my euros on like souvenirs. So, a lot of people were really nice and helped pay for my meals at lunch. And if you're watching this video, thank you for paying for my meals, honestly. It means a lot. Okay, so we start walking back to the, I'm gonna call it, the meeting point or whatever, as our group of 7. And I'm like in the back of the group. So this one girl, for this story we're gonna call her Alexa, because, I'm not gonna use real names. I look behind, and I see Alexa's like falling behind from the group. We're all like, just trying to run to like the meeting point or whatever. And I'm like, I just see her like, oh, she's like farther behind now. I see her turn towards these 2 women. I got a description of them. They were wearing sneakers, they had long dark braids, and I could hear they had like a heavy accent. So that's the description of them. So these women were holding bouquets of roses. That's another description to add to them. So I'm trying to get Alexa to hurry up, and then one of the women started talking to me, and it's like, I had a hard time understanding them. It was like broken English, and she's saying something about a flower donation. So I'm like, I heard the word donation, so I'm like, okay. She places a light pink rose in my hand, and so I'm like, okay, she's just giving it to me. So she hands me the flower. I turn around to leave, and she grabs me and turns me back around, and she's like, no, baby, like, she's like saying something like that. And she's like, you have to pay. While this conversation is happening, though, my entire group is leaving me behind, and it's me and like Alexa just talking to these people. There was also like a couple other kids, like 1 or 2, like talking to the same kind of women, like with bouquets and stuff. And I'm just freaking out because I'm like, my group is leaving me, and the city was very crowded. Like at some point, I was like looking behind me, like glancing. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're getting farther and farther away. So I tell this woman I don't have any euros, which is true. I don't, and I'm panicking. I'm like, I don't like the situation, and I wasn't really sure what to do. Flowers in my hand, I'm repeatedly trying to give it back to her, and I'm just saying like, I have to go, and she's not taking it back. So then I decide to throw the flower on the ground and run. And at the time, I remember feeling really bad because I'm like, oh, this person's just trying to, maybe sell this flower for a good cause, and I'm just like throwing away, like I'm like, oh, I probably was supposed to pay for that. once I got home from the trip, you know, looked it up. Apparently this is a thing that actually happens. So, throw the flower on the ground. I run, and I'm like lost for a couple minutes, and it's such a freaky feeling. You don't know the area around you, you don't know the people around you. It's not a good feeling. I ran through the city, and I didn't know she was chasing me. Like, I kept looking back. She wasn't chasing me, but in my heart, I thought she was gonna chase me. I finally see a few people. I was able to meet back up the checkpoint, but it was so chaotic. And, you know, the chaperones ended up having like a big talk with our group about like, oh, yeah, that can happen. Those women that were, you know, trying to sell me a flower, they were trying to take my money, but the funny thing is I didn't have any money to begin with, so yeah, it was a good trip, but you guys know, you gotta be aware of that. Alright, well, that was my story. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!